Hello creative souls and welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to share with you my new soft pastels. I have two lots to try out today. The first one is the Mont Marte soft pastels with 36 pieces, and the other one is the Royal Talens Rembrandt soft pastels, which has 15 pieces. I was also going to give the Faber-Castell Pitt pencils a try today as well. Now, this is a demonstration, it's not a tutorial, as I'm a beginner with this medium as well. However, I will go through the paper I'm going to be using, and I will also talk to you about how to apply the pastels and my blending techniques. I will also attempt to show you how to darken and lighten the colours. And if you stick around until the end, I will do some artwork using my soft pastels. I thought I would give painting some teasels a go. These are from my garden from last year. I will also leave the links to all these materials in the description box below. So grab yourself a drink, sit back and relax, and I will share with you my new materials. So before I break open my new soft pastels, I'm just going to go through the paper I'm going to be using today. So I'll start with the cheapest one first. This one is Art Creation by Talens. It's a pastel paper. There are 50 sheets in there, and on A4 size. They're all different colours, and I find that this paper is good for swatching out your colours and just playing with your medium, and it doesn't cost too much to do it. So this paper is fairly smooth, so it'll be interesting to see how the pastels are on this paper, and this is the one I'm going to be using to swatch them later. So that's the Talens one. Let's put that to one side, and then the second one is a Canson XL pad, an A4 size pad. It is sand grain for mixed media, dry mixed media. And when you open it up, this one's actually grey, and it feels like sandpaper. And you can probably hear that under my fingertips as well. So it's got a perforated line across here. So when you've done some artwork, if you're really happy with it and you want to take it out of the sketchbook, it's easy to get out. I have got a white one as well, but I don't know where I've put that. So that's another paper, which is good for dry mixed media. And then the last one is Strathmore pastel paper with a textured finish. Again, this is A4. There's 24 sheets in here. And this pad, again, has got lots of different colours. The paper's a little bit thicker, and it has got a textured surface. So the pastels should go down nicely, and you should be able to blend those nicely on here. You can also get a Clairefontaine pastel matte paper specifically for soft pastels and pastel work. I haven't used that one yet, but I'm hoping to get some of that fairly soon. So let's get on with unboxing my soft pastels and swatching them. And like I say, I'm going to be doing that on the Talens Art Creation pastel paper. So first of all, I'm going to go through the Mont Marte Soft Pastels signature box. Like I said earlier, there's 36 pieces of vibrant colours, soft chalky texture and seamless colour blending. So it all sounds good. You can see all the colours on the back here. They do provide a white as well. So let's open these up and see what they look like. I've had these for a few weeks now, and I've held off opening them because I wanted to share them with you guys. So this is very exciting. There we go. So they come in a cardboard box rather than a tin. Let's take the cellophane off because we've got some glare from the overhead light there as well. Now, I've been told that soft pastels can be quite messy, so I think I might have to get a damp cloth, which will be good for wiping your fingers in between blending and for wiping down the surface. And I also watched a video the other day where the artist used a little handheld hoover to hoover up the chalk dust. So I must admit, I'm not looking forward to that part. Okay, so there's the colours. They come in, oh, my hands are filthy already. So they come in little blocks, like so. So they're square blocks. So I should imagine that's good for putting down detail, and you can use them that way as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do a swatch. And of course I will speed you up for that one because there are 36 pieces and I could be here all day. And that would make a rather boring video for you. So I'm going to speed you up for the next bit and then we'll look at the Rembrandt pastels. Here's my finished swatches of the Mont Marte soft pastels. Some of them were broken in the packet, which was a bit disappointing, but I guess they're going to break anyway. It's not like using a pen, they are quite fragile. So here's the swatches. It was messy. As you swatch with the stick, it creates quite a lot of pastel dust, for which I did use my little handheld vacuum cleaner, which came in quite handy. First of all, I hoovered the actual page, which was a really silly thing to do, because obviously the page then got stuck to the vacuum, or the nozzle on the vacuum. So what I did when I finished swatching was literally just tip it onto the desk like so, and then hoovered it up. I did then spray some hairspray over the top, as some artist, and I can't remember who, recommended that this was a good and cheap way to seal your pastels. So that's what I did, and then I wrote the names underneath. I also, with some of the smudges that I created with the vacuum nozzle, I used a piece of blue tack to lift the smudgy bits, and you can also use a piece of blue tack or a kneadable eraser to create highlights in your artwork. So I will try that out later on. So that's the Mont Marte soft pastels swatched. Really lovely colours. I like the variety of blues we've got here and the varieties of greens and earthy colours. I think they would be lovely for some landscape paintings. And I think for my teasels later, I will probably use the Mont Marte soft pastels. But I'm going to put these away now and I'm going to go on to the Rembrandts and see how they fare. Now it's time to test out the Rembrandts. These are by Royal Talons. They've come in a box with cellophane over the top, so let's break into these. You're probably getting quite a lot of glare from the light above, so hopefully taken the cellophane off. We'll get rid of that for you. So, we've got a sleeve here. So these are called extra fine soft pastels. So I wonder if they feel different to the Mont Marte. So it says intense and pure colours, good to highest degree of light fastness. Interesting. Very high colouring power due to high concentration of pigment, and free of pigments based on metals lead, cadmium and bolt. Sorry, that didn't make sense, did it? Free of pigments based on the metals lead, cadmium and cobalt. And the range consists of 203 colours. Obviously I've just got 15 today of the half length pastels. So it's a really nice box. With a piece of foam protecting the pastels, unlike the Mont Marte. And they're set in foam as well. None of these are broken, so that's good. As you can see, they're shorter and stubbier, being half length. But a nice selection of colours nonetheless. So we've got the earthy tones, we've got the sky, and we've got some brighter colours here. So I'm going to speed you up as I swatch these. I wonder if they create as much dust as the Mont Marte. I guess I'll find out. So I'm going to use the same paper as I used with the Mont Marte, and I'm going to swatch and see how I get on. So here's my finished swatches of the Royal Talens Rembrandt soft pastels. They don't seem to have the names of the colours on this sleeve, just the numbers of the pigments. So I've written the numbers on, so I guess you could look those pigments up. I'm not entirely sure. I prefer the feel of the Rembrandt soft pastels, having only just done the swatches. They were dusty, of course, and I used a little vacuum again to hoover it off. I sealed it with some hairspray, and the cloth really does come in handy for wiping your fingertips so you don't contaminate the others. I think possibly I'm being a little bit too precious about them. But I've never used them before, so this is my first time, as I've already said. So I'm going to go ahead now and maybe test them out a little bit, see how you can make some marks, and do a little demonstration on how to get highlights and how to get shadow, like light and dark, on your composition. So I'm going to do that next. Now I'm going to have a little play with these pastels. I've just taken a piece of white paper out of my pastel pad. I used the Talens Art Creation pastel paper, the cheaper one. So I'm just going to test them out a little bit and apply them. So let's see how we can do this. Let's try it with blue with the Rembrandt. So depending on how you hold the pastel, depends on how you can apply it. So the edge of the pastel will give you lines, and you can apply it to have detail. If you hold it in a different way, so it's flat, you can actually rub along like so and block in the colour like that. So it's really just having a play with these. and seeing how they feel. So you can blend these with your finger, or I've got some earbuds here, some cotton wool earbuds. So let's see how the cotton bud fares. So that blends in really nicely, and you can keep layering over the top depending on how much pigment you want on there. So layering and blending. Or you can use your finger. So let's try a different colour. So I'm just going to get my piece of blue tack, and I'm just going to, oh, I might wobble the camera a little bit here. I think I'm being a bit overzealous. Just lift up some of that dust. I'm just going to wipe my fingers on my damp cloth. And I'm going to go for, let's go, what's on the opposite end of the colour wheel to the blue? So there's the blue, and on the other end is the orange. So I'm going to try some orange. So again, edge of the pastel for detail, then hold it differently to apply a block of colour. And I'm going to use my finger this time. So really push it into the paper. And depending on the tooth of paper and the type of paper you're using will depend on how well the pastel blends. And considering this is the cheapest paper, it's blending really nicely. So that's the Rembrandt one. So to darken the blue, you put on some orange. So it's the complementary colour to the blue, and I think that will darken it. So I'm just going to go over the top with orange and see what happens. And some blue. And blend it in with my finger. There we go. Can you see how that's taken that darker? And actually, it's taken it darker, but it's just mixed the two colours together and sort of muddied it. So I would probably just go in maybe with a black to darken rather than use a complementary one. There we go. So I think using the black works better for me. Maybe I've chosen the wrong colours to use. Make it lighter as we go along. That layers really nicely over the top. So I guess it's just having a play, experimenting, seeing what these can do. Let's try some yellow to take it lighter here. I know that I'm having great fun, which is all that matters when you're creating art. There we go, look at that. Blend that in. Let's go with some red up here. And there we go. And then you get the full scale of colour. Oh, I like that. Wow, that is great fun. That is great fun. And so to darken up, I would probably go with either black or the darker colour before the colour that you've put down. And then for highlights, go up a colour. So a bit like with watercolour, you do it in layers, so light to dark. But this, for the first play with soft pastels, absolutely amazing. I loved it. So I'm just going to test out the Mont Marte ones now and see how they feel. So, oh, let's put these back in the foam. And I'm just going to tap that so you can see the dust that comes off. And I'll give it a little vacuum and get another page ready to do the Mont Marte ones. I'm going to test out the Mont Marte ones now. I thought I might do a circle for the Mont Marte testing, like a ball shape. So I apologise now for my heavy breathing into the camera. I'm trying to do this standing up, looking through the camera down to my page, and so it might be a bit breathy at times. So what can I draw around? How about the base of this? So where should we do it? Up here. Just going to draw a circle. Not a great circle, but it will do, because it doesn't have to be perfect. This time I'm going to go with a green, I think. So these are chalk sticks in blocks, so they're square. So on the corner, if you hold it like a pencil, you can get some detail and you can make some lines and some marks. And then if you hold it flat and drag it across your page, you can get big blocks of colour. And a bit like with the Rembrandt, you can layer it up and blend it with your finger. Like so. I'm going to make it darker at one end like I did with the Rembrandt. The complementary colour is actually red, but we don't have a red, but we do have a vermilion, which is, I think, that one. So I don't know what this is going to do. It should darken it. However, having never done this before, who knows? But it's good to play, so let's try it. And blend. Oh yes, it has made it darker. So that worked better than the blue that I used earlier. Then I'm going to go, what's a lighter colour up? This one's broken, unfortunately. And then let's go in with some yellow. Oh, I hate contaminating the sticks, but that's soft pastels. That's just the way it is. There we go. So keep blending with your finger for a smooth transition. There we go. I guess if you were doing a composition and you wanted highlights, you would just go in with a white. See how that layers up over the top. There we go, and blend. See, the more you play, the more you come to understand the medium. And I tend to find when I just play and not worry about the outcome, you learn, but also you make some happy mistakes. Look at that. So, I like that. Just going to hoover the desk. I'm going to switch you off for that. You don't really want to hear my hoover. So, after a quick tidy up, I've still got the circle to do. So I'm going to apply, I'm going to go stick with the green and the red. And so I'm going to apply, I'm going to pretend the light is coming in from this direction. So this is where the highlighted area is going to be. And the shadow will be around here. So let's start with the green. I'm going to keep the green out of the highlighted area. And let's blend that in. I will take the green over to the highlighted area. Just go in very slightly. There we go. And then we'll darken up down here. We'll put the red in. Complementary colour on the wheel instead of the black. It's hard getting the detail in because obviously I'm using my finger, and so it's really hard keeping the shape. Because my fingertip is obviously a lot bigger than a tip of a paintbrush, which is what I'm used to using. I guess you could use, this is where your cotton bud maybe will come in handy. However, all that's done, I think I'm a bit heavy-handed, is lift it. Sorry if you can hear my iPad bleeping in the background. I'm just going to tap that off. And blend. Again, I'm sorry if you can hear me breathing in the camera. I tend to breathe quite heavily when I'm concentrating. Right, let's go in with some white at the top, on that top edge where the light's hitting it. And I'm going to go in with a lighter green. There we go. Now, it says on the Mont Marte box that you can actually lift colour using a if I could say it, a kneadable eraser. I've got a bit of blue tack. So, let's see how it lifts. Yeah, it's lifting quite nicely. I guess for me, because I'm used to putting in detail, I'm finding it really hard not getting that crisp edge. but I guess I'm not going to be able to achieve that unless I use a pencil. So let me just tap that off. There we go, so they blended really nicely. You can layer over the top. You can put your highlights in, you can make it darker. And they're a really nice medium to use. I guess for me, I struggle with the mess, but I am enjoying it. So I'm going to go on now and create a piece of artwork and do the teasel that I got from the garden. I mentioned this book in my, let me think, art haul video a couple of weeks ago. It's Pastels for the Absolute Beginner by Rembrandt and Mont Marte. I don't know if I've pronounced that lady's name correctly, so apologies if I haven't. But this is a really nice book, and as I've already mentioned a couple of times before, I am a complete beginner when it comes to soft pastels. So I've marked a couple of pages in this book because I've been doing a little bit of research before filming this video for you. And she's got quite a few exercises in here using different types of soft pastels and pastel pencils as well. And she's created some absolutely beautiful artwork in here. Some lovely landscapes, pet portraits, seascapes, and this one I'm particularly interested in doing, which is rolling fields. I think I've got all the colours that I'm going to need to be able to do that. But the one I'm going to do now is the teasel one. So she lists here what I'm going to need, and the pastel colours I'm going to need is a dark brown, a mid brown, a light brown and a white, which I've got all of those colours. She does also mention the Conti crayons, which I'm not sure what they are. I haven't come across those yet, so I certainly don't own any. But she uses a brown and white, so I may have to substitute that with maybe Neocolour 2s, possibly. And then she uses a pastel pencil, and she uses just one, which is a dark brown colour, and a craft knife. So the craft knife is to gently remove the layered pastel on the surface in a more controlled way, rather than using a scraper. So it says this is useful if detailed areas got clogged up or to create sharp marks. So I may not use a craft knife. I'm not actually sure where mine is. Surprise, surprise. But maybe I'll be able to find something I can use. So I'm going to be referring to this book to do my teasel. And it looks like she's done her teasel on coloured paper, like a beigey colour. So I'm sure I've got that because that's the colour that we did. Or should I say I did the swatches on. So I'm going to go with that colour again. I think I'm going to use my, where is it? Talon's Art Creation paper. Let's see if I've got a beige. Yeah, I've got a couple of beiges there I can use. I think I might go with that one. So I'm going to use this paper. I think I might use the Rembrandt pastels for this one. I've got my own teasel ready to go, and I have got the Faber-Castell Pit pastel pencils. And she said about a brown. She did say dark brown, but I think that's the only brown I've got. There's no other browns in there. It doesn't actually say what colour this is. I wonder if there's any reference on the back. No, we've just got a number. And I think that other pencil is a black. Let's just get that one out too. Yeah, it's a black. So anyway, I'll just have to make do with the colours I have. I'm sure I'll survive. So I'm going to speed the teasel painting up. I'm not going to speed it up so much that you can't see what I'm doing. But I will speed it up, and I'll put some relaxing music on for you so you don't have to listen to my voice any longer. I hope you enjoy. So here's my finished teasel. I did manage to find a Conti à Paris pastel pencil in white. Quite a hard pencil, so that was good for getting the initial outline down of the teasel. I then went in with a dark brown, and then I started layering up. I used a little bit of black for shadow, a lighter brown, a yellow ochre, and then the white for the highlights, and just kept blending. And then for more detail, I used the Pitt pastel pencil or pastel pencil in brown, and I also used the white one as well, and I had a black one on hand, which I can't remember using that one. Maybe I did, but that goes on quite nicely for detail. So there you have it. There's my first piece of artwork using soft pastels. It's a brilliant medium to use, fast and quick and loose. Very cool. So now I'm going to use the Mont Marte soft pastels, and I think I'm going to do some sort of landscape with those because they've got lots of lovely greens and blues in there, so I'm going to give those a little go on the landscape. For that one, I will speed you up. I'll probably put you on a time lapse, which is a lot quicker, and then I'll come back to you at the end. If you made it this far, then thank you so much for watching. I've created a teasel using my Rembrandt pastels, and using the Mont Marte pastels, I created this landscape. I also used the Pitt pastel pencils to create some detail in the teasel. And when I did the teasel and the landscape, I referred to this excellent book. So, after experimenting with these soft pastels, I must say I'm pleasantly surprised by how easy and fun they are to work with. A bit messy at times, so I'd recommend a handheld vacuum cleaner and a damp cloth to be able to wipe your fingers on in between doing your blending. The colours did blend beautifully, and the final result has a soft and dreamy quality to it. I definitely see why artists love using soft pastels. So in conclusion, my experience with these soft pastels have been truly enjoyable. I love the vibrant colours and the way they allow you to create freedom. While there are some initial challenges, I found that with more practice, I was able to overcome them. I would highly recommend soft pastels to anyone looking to add a new dimension to their artwork. These fairly inexpensive pastels I found to be a little bit hard in some of the colours, and I must say I did prefer the Rembrandt ones, and you can build your collection slowly as they do sell the different pastel colours individually. So before we wrap up, don't forget to share your experiences with soft pastels in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more art related content on my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.